I've never done. So oddly enough, you guys, this is the first time that I've ever scheduled a YouTube live stream. So the only people that were actually watching were the people that were already tuned in to watch the scheduled stream. So so I'm sorry for all the people that, just missed the first 20 minutes of my live stream. But this is the first time I've ever scheduled a YouTube live stream. So I didn't know you had to press the go live button. I've always just went live, like no planning, no nothing. I just went live. So now everybody can see it and it's available for everybody to see. But yeah, welcome to my live stream, everybody. I am talking a little bit about Zano here. We talked about Bitcoin and where I think Bitcoin could go in the short term. So we're going to go ahead and talk about that again. Forgive me, you guys. Normally I just press live and I just start a live stream and it just goes live. This is the first time I've ever scheduled a live stream. And apparently I had to press go live. Like I had to press a button that I hadn't pressed. So everybody, like 10 people were watching because they had already scheduled to tune into the live stream, but now everybody can watch. So anyways, you live and you learn, right? So here we have Bitcoin, and Bitcoin did move up off of these lows very nicely. So I'm just running over this again just because we already ran over this for the other 10 people that were already tuning in. But yeah, so Bitcoin, I do see Bitcoin as being bullish here. We did move up off of these lows very nicely, but don't be surprised if we pull back a little bit here in the shorter time frame. If you look on the 45-minute time frame, you can see that we have bearish divergence here on the 45-minute. So we have a higher high in price, but we have a lower high on the MACD. So it wouldn't surprise me to see Bitcoin pull back just a little bit here and then go higher. This would not surprise me in the slightest. But overall, I do think Bitcoin will continue to go higher here up off of these lows. We did have a nice bounce off of this major support level, like a nice support and resistance flip here for Bitcoin. So that's really good. You do want to see that. You want to see a bounce off of the major support level, just like that. That's what happened last time over here. If you look at Bitcoin, you can see Bitcoin saw a very nice move up off of these lows right here. That's because it was the support and resistance flip, right? So looking for those support and resistance flips can be very, very profitable for the crypto markets. So I think Bitcoin will go higher, and I think it will keep going up here. But in the short term, like in the very near future, it wouldn't surprise me to see a little bit of a pullback before we go higher as a result of this bearish divergence on the 45-minute time frame. That's usually a pretty strong sell signal to find bearish divergence, especially on these smaller time frames like 45-minute or 4-hour. A lot of times you will see a little bit of a pullback. And also, when I say especially on the smaller time frames, it's just as useful, if not more useful, on the bigger time frames. But here on the 45-minute time frame, it's especially useful for finding short-term corrections. So if you're looking for short-term corrections or short-term bottoms in the market, the 45-minute time frame is extremely useful. So pay attention to that. Okay, cool. Yeah, man, I wish the first 20 minutes of this wasn't lost, but what do you do? I had no idea that you had to press the magic button, go live. Normally when I start a YouTube live stream, I just go to my streaming software. I open up the streaming button on YouTube where it brings up the streaming platform. And then I just press start streaming on my streaming software, and it automatically goes live on YouTube Studio. I had no idea that you had to actually, if you schedule a live stream, you have to press an extra button to go live. So like I would have been live 20 minutes ago. And for all the people that are just tuning in now, you did miss a lot of talk about Bitcoin and other coins, but that's why I ran over it again for you guys, just so you kind of know my views on Bitcoin. So yeah, I had no idea. But anyways, what do you do? Cool. So let's get kind of talking about some more stuff here. We talked about Zano already, so kind of cool. We're bullish on Zano. If we look over here, we're looking at Zano a little bit as well. So I'm just kind of recovering some of the stuff that we talked about. So for all the people that are just tuning in now, you can see here with Zano, we're looking for more bullishness because we see wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, and wave 5. Then we have our ABC correction down here. And what I'm kind of looking at here is continuation, right? More upside, but I think we could pull back a little bit for a right shoulder potentially here before we go higher for Zano. So anyways, but yeah, I'm bullish on Bitcoin. I'm bullish on Zano. Just be aware of a potential short-term correction in the market because of that bearish divergence on Bitcoin. It's usually a pretty strong sell signal. So it could play out. In the short term, again, I think we will rise for crypto. I think this could be the beginning of something big for 2025. But a little pullback before we really get the ball rolling would not surprise me. Just a little pullback. You know, if we talk about the total crypto market cap here, and we take a look at the total crypto market cap, kind of a similar thing, right? We go to the 2-hour time frame here. Actually, let's go to the 45-minute time frame. We do see potential bearish divergence here on the 45-minute time frame, so this could play out. We have a higher high in price and a lower high on the MACD. So this could lead to a bit of a pullback here before we go higher. But overall, I think this could be the beginning of something big for crypto in 2025. This whole move that we've started to see off of these local lows down here could be the beginning of something really big for crypto in 2025, right? So cool. Now let's talk about the coins that you guys are requesting. BCH. Let's do some BCH analysis here. Okay. Daily candlesticks. Go to the 10-day. And we'll do this. We better use BCH on Coinbase so we get all the data. Nope. Where are we here? There we go. So yeah, for my BCH people, this does look really good. We're starting to see a move up off of these lows, these local lows. We do have bullish divergence. You can see on the MACD we have bullish divergence, which started to play out a little bit here. So what could happen here for BCH is a nice move on the upside. But in the meantime, it could be a little bit like that. You know, we could pull back just a little bit here, kind of make a right shoulder for our left shoulder, our head, We already have a left shoulder and a head, so we could make a right shoulder here. And that would be really good. Kind of a perfect bottom structure for this market. But we do see bullish divergence here on the daily candlestick, so this could start to turn around here. And we also, just like we talked about in our last live stream, we also have an ABC correction here. So that's a really good buy signal. And usually what happens as a result of these ABC corrections is a lot more upside coming in the market. So it can be a really, really powerful signal for entry. And I do think we will turn around here for BCH as a result of this ABC due to the bearish divergence on Bitcoin and the bearish divergence on the total crypto market cap. We could pull back slightly, like on the 45-minute, to make a right shoulder. But overall, I think we will continue to reverse here and continue to see upside as a result of this ABC correction for BCH. Now let's check out Litecoin. We better get all the data, which I believe is on Bitfinex. So where are you, Bitfinex? Litecoin dollar Bitfinex. So here on Bitfinex, you get all of the historical data, which is why I look here. Because normally, if you're looking at Litecoin like on Coinbase, you're not going to see this, right? If you go over to Litecoin on Coinbase, you get quite a bit of data here, but not as much. Or if you go to Litecoin on Binance, you get even less data. So if you want all of the historical data for Litecoin, definitely scroll down for the Bitfinex chart and use it when you're doing your big picture analysis. However, don't use the Bitfinex chart if you're looking for volume, because fact of the matter is Bitfinex is a very small exchange in terms of volume in comparison to Binance or any other major exchange like Coinbase. So if you're doing volume analysis, do not do it here, because there just isn't enough volume. So it's not going to be very helpful. So if you're doing volume analysis, go over to Coinbase or Binance and do it there. But if you want to do big picture, zoomed out, and see the whole history of Litecoin, go to Bitfinex, because that's where you're going to find it. Now, Litecoin is very similar to Stellar Lumens in terms of the accumulation cycle. So one of the most powerful things you guys can do is study accumulation cycles. And a really good example of an accumulation cycle is NVIDIA. So let's pull up NVIDIA here. NVIDIA Corporation. We'll go to the 10-day and we'll look at this early day cycle here for NVIDIA. So here on NVIDIA, you can see kind of what it looks like when the market is accumulating for a really long time. So we're talking about from the year 2000 all the way till 2016, NVIDIA was going sideways. I mean, it had little moves up, right? It was going like whoop, like that, but it really wasn't trending up. You know, it wasn't in an uptrend. It was moving sideways. There was upward movement and downward movement, but it wasn't in an uptrend. And that lasted for 16 years. 16 years. It was in an accumulation cycle. Now, if you look at excuse me, if you look at Litecoin currently, Litecoin is really doing the same thing. Litecoin has been accumulating for 10 years almost. I mean, if you look at 2017 over here and then 2026 over here, that's almost 10 years of accumulation. So what can happen as a result of this is a really, really big bull market. A lot of people aren't thinking like this. A lot of people are focused on the shorter time frame. They're looking at like the 4-hour, they're looking at like the, like the 45-minute, and it's okay to be looking at those time frames. But one of the biggest mistakes that people make as crypto investors, or investors in any market really, is to focus on the smaller time frame. Don't do that. Like, it's okay to look at it sometimes, but if you want to get the most profitability and you want to get the most data, look at the bigger time frame. It's going to tell you way more than the smaller time frames are ever going to tell you. So it's super powerful to zoom out here and take a look at these bigger picture time frames, because what you're going to see is way more historical data. And as a result of all of that historical data, you're going to get a better idea of where price can go. A much, much bigger picture understanding of what's happening. And in the case of Litecoin, Litecoin has done one of these multi-year accumulation cycles. Now, the stock market moves slower than crypto does. So because the stock market moves slower than crypto, you can see that this was 16 years of accumulation for NVIDIA. Well, Litecoin did a very similar pattern in only 9 years. So about half the time, not quite, but about half the time, Litecoin did the same pattern, just twice as fast. So what can happen here is, and what I think could happen here for Litecoin, is what happened to NVIDIA, where it stopped moving sideways and it started an uptrend and started a bull market. And that bull market was very big and very sustained, and it's actually still happening. It's still inside of a bull market. And this is what could happen for crypto. Crypto could go into a mass adoption cycle. So watch for that for Litecoin. Watch for the beginning of a breakout here. And as it starts to break out, look for the beginning of a massive uptrend. And if it starts to really trend up here and really break out, and especially if it gets above its old all-time high, do you guys realize what this chart's going to look like? Like, it's going to be so clear. It's going to be so obvious that it's ready for a bigger move. You know, if you think about moving sideways for this long and then you break above the old all-time high, everybody's going to want to get in on it. It's going to be so obvious that we broke out of a massive accumulation and that it's going to go a lot higher. And that's why these big uptrends start, because essentially the technology has been accumulated for so long that when the pattern breaks out, you really go into a huge bull market as a result of how long it's been accumulating. And it becomes more and more clear to everybody that you're in a bull market. And as it becomes more clear, the price just keeps going higher and higher. And you get these really big sustained uptrends. This is why people say the trend is your friend. I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, if the trend is your friend, then why has crypto gone up and then down and then up and then down for the past 8 years? Because it's been inside of an accumulation cycle. When it actually breaks out and starts a big picture bull market, you guys are going to understand what it means when people say the trend is your friend. just like what happened with Bitcoin. Bitcoin has been in a consistent uptrend. It really hasn't been in these accumulation cycles that altcoins have been doing. Bitcoin has been more in a consistent uptrend, and you can see that in the chart. Yeah, there's pullbacks, but overall it's been inside of an uptrend. It hasn't been doing this like a lot of altcoins have in the bigger picture. Bitcoin is a perfect example of what it means when people say the trend is your friend. And altcoins are going for that soon. I really believe that these multi-year accumulations will lead to a big picture uptrend. And it's going to be very, very, very exciting and very, very, very profitable. So that's my view on Litecoin. Do Theta. Yeah, let's do Theta. And again, you guys, crypto is set up for a really, really big move. Like way, way bigger than your average person is expecting. So let's take a look here. We're not going to compare Theta to anything yet. We're going to just start off here on the daily time frame and take a look at what happened over the past year or so. Basically, what we see here with Theta is an ABC correction. This provides a very undervalued scenario to be investing in this coin. So ABC corrections have a very, very, very high probability. And basically what you can see is a perfect ABC correction here with Theta. And what I'm kind of thinking is going to happen, not only as a result of this ABC correction right here, but also as a result of the bigger picture ABC for this coin, is a very nice reversal up off of these lows. So we have a big picture ABC correction here on the 10-day, but we also have that smaller ABC correction on the daily. So those corrections provide opportunities for buying. This is the same thing that happened to Ethereum in 2018 and 2019 and 2020. The exact same thing. It did the exact same pattern. So what can happen as a result of these ABC corrections is a lot of upside. You can get a nice bottom formation. And by the way, we're on major support too right now. So selling support is one of the worst things you can do. Buying support is what you should do. That's going to be, how you make good money. So let's pull up Ethereum over here, and we'll do on Coinbase, I believe we have the data. This is what I mean, okay? Let's just do a study of Ethereum over here and a study of Theta. For me, the opportunity for Theta is extremely high. A lot of people they're afraid to buy in a time like this where the market is undervalued. But this is really the best time that you could possibly buy. Just like how Ethereum had an ABC correction in 2018, then had another ABC correction over here in 2019 and a little bit in 2020, that's the same thing that Theta did. A massive ABC correction in 2022, then another ABC correction in 2024 and a little bit into 2025. But the structure is the same in both of these markets. So you just have to understand that when people are afraid and when you're seeing these ABC corrections in these big picture time frames, that's when you have the opportunity to make a lot of money. You can try to trade the short term. And I've had some good success trading the short term, but the most money I've ever made in my entire life was buying the dip in the bigger picture. That's where you really, really make money. Nobody wants to hear that because they want to make money quickly. They want a quick, they want to get rich quick because they're impatient. And you can get rich quick, you guys. You really can. But you're going to miss out on all of the gains that you would have had if you try to focus on the short term. You have to focus on the bigger picture. Because when you focus on the bigger picture, yeah, you can get rich quick, but it's not like overnight. It's over like a year or two. You have to be patient still. Now, if getting rich in a year or two isn't getting rich quick to you, then you have completely lost your mind. Because most people work like 10 years or 20 years, or if you study people that have gotten rich, a lot of them, it took them like multiple failures, like 10 years, like 20 years, a lot of times to get rich. It took time. So if getting rich in a year or 2 years is too slow for you, you got to rethink your life a little bit, because that's really fast. So for Theta here, I do think we will turn around and have a big move. We're going to have a massive pump on this coin. And a lot of people are going to get super rich. But if you don't invest in the big picture because you're afraid of the short term, you're not going to get rich. You're going to wish you were in the market. You're going to see it start to run away from you, and you're going to wish you had invested. But instead, if you focus on the bigger picture and you invest and you buy the dip like this, you can get rich in like a year or two. Like significantly financially prosperous in like a year or two. So it really helps to understand that the bigger picture is how you get rich, you guys. And having patience, If you don't have patience, you're going to give the quickest way to turn $1 million into $1,000 is to try to day trade. I'm not saying it's impossible to day trade. It's totally possible. It's totally something you can learn how to do. But for most people, you're just going to lose your money. For most people, the way to really make money in these markets is to buy the dip in the big picture. That's how you're really going to make money. And right now, for crypto, especially in the altcoin market, but Bitcoin is still undervalued too, there is an opportunity to make a lot of money if you buy the dip. So just understand that, okay? Okay, we ran over all three of those coins. Let's go ahead and do more. Can you look at Aptos? Yeah, let's do this. Aptos, where APT. Okay. I bet there's one with more data. Let's go ahead and look. Nope, same amount of data. Okay, so this, let's take a look here and see kind of what's happening. Let's drop time frames maybe to the 5-day. All right, we're going to take off the signal line and the MACD line and just only focus on the histogram. So what I see here with Aptos is bullish histogram divergence. So we have one low here, we have another low right here, and we have another low right there. So that's multiple lows in the market, but they're all higher lows, right? And if you look right here, we have lower lows. So this is bullish histogram divergence. Sometimes the MACD doesn't show bullish divergence on the with the signal line and the MACD line. Sometimes you don't see it here. And instead you have to look for bullish histogram divergence. Now if you look, no, we don't see any on the 3-day. Sometimes if you drop time frames, you will see it still. But let's take off the MACD line and just focus on the histogram here. Now that bullish histogram divergence is a very strong buy signal, just in the same way that normal bullish divergence is a strong buy signal. Bullish histogram divergence is also a strong buy signal. So we do see higher lows and lower lows on price, so that's bullish to see that. And then we also have a bit of a falling wedge kind of structure. So we're kind of moving inside of a falling wedge here. So if we deviate from that falling wedge, that'd be super bullish, especially if we break above this local resistance right here at $14. That would be super bullish here for APT. But the higher low kind of pattern here that we're seeing is very, very bullish. For the MACD to have higher lows and for the price to have lower lows, that's super, super bullish here. So yeah, that looks pretty good. And then you wanted me to do Ethereum as well, so let's pull up Ethereum. Iron Mike, keep up the good work, Dallin. The best is yet to come. Hey, thank you, man. I appreciate that. Okay, let's do some Ethereum analysis here. So, we have a bit of a broadening wedge here, a broadening descending wedge. So I believe if we look on Google Images, we can find an example of this pattern. It's a little less of a common pattern, broadening descending wedge. But it is bullish. It is a bullish pattern to see this. So if you look right here, here's a descending broadening wedge. And basically, the bottom right here, where a lot of people panic sell because of this huge final sell-off that happens, that's usually the best place to buy because that's right where it's the most undervalued, and you usually see these descending broadening wedges see a reversal at that level. So I think that could have happened here with Ethereum, where we are extremely oversold on this. And even especially on the Bitcoin pair, we're very, very oversold for Ethereum. So what could happen here is a reversal off of these lows, like this, and for us to start to see upside off of these lows as a result of this descending broadening wedge pattern. It's something I have seen in the crypto markets plenty of times, and it does play out pretty nicely. So pay attention for that to happen here for Ethereum. And if it does happen, then I think we will see a lot of upside, because it would be a continuation of this uptrend that we started over here. And it would kind of look like our first Elliott wave would be done. So from an Elliott wave kind of view, we'd look at this like this, wave 1 and wave 2. And this would be our ABC correction, A, B, and C. So anytime you see a big sell-off like this in the bigger picture, usually a pretty good time to buy. You know, that's when people are fearful and the fear and greed index is at extreme fear. I believe right now we're not, because we saw a little bit of a move off of those lows. So right now, in the short term at least, we're in kind of a greed area for Bitcoin. But in the bigger picture, we're really in extreme fear still. And this is just for Bitcoin, right? The crypto fear and greed index. Or maybe this is all of them. I don't know. I don't know if they changed it. It used to only be for Bitcoin, but they might have changed that. I don't know for sure on that. But either way, we are in a state of extreme fear, and most people have the sentiment of being afraid in the bigger time frames. And you can see it in the chart. You can see this huge sell-off right here. So you have to understand, wherever you see a big sell-off like that, it's usually a really, really good time to buy. Usually a very, very prime time for buying. Just like last year, when Ethereum pulled back right here, and people were really, really afraid that the market was going to go lower. Similar kind of thing right here. Wherever you see those big kind of sell-offs, especially in like the 5-day or the 4-day or any of those bigger time frames, it's usually a really, really good time to buy. So, cool. So yeah, I'm bullish on Ethereum, if you didn't kind of catch my drift there. Alrighty, cool. Let's do some more analysis here. William Harvey, how about DAG? Okay, well, I'm kind of going down the list here, so we'll start a little bit higher here. We'll start at like I want to make sure I get as many of the ones that have already requested first. Kind of go in line here. How is Telcoin looking? Okay, we'll do Telcoin next. So my view on Telcoin hasn't changed from my last analysis of it. I don't know if you were here for that, but I think I did it last week, I believe I did Telcoin. And really my view hasn't changed at all, except for maybe the short term. Again, you guys, it's at least possible for us to pull back in the short term. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it's at least possible for us to do a little something like this on the 45-minute for Telcoin, for Bitcoin, for a lot of different coins. So this could happen just because we do see bearish divergence on the 45-minute for Bitcoin. But in the bigger time frame, we're looking at more upside. We're looking at more of a growth for the bigger picture, right? So let's go ahead and zoom out here on the daily. We do see the big picture ABC. We do see some nice kind of movement off of those lows where we're starting to recover here, starting to see some nice movement. And what I think is going to happen here for Telcoin is a continuation of the beginning of its uptrend. So we've started to begin an uptrend here. We've started to see some upside off of these lows. And I think we will see continuation, even if we pull back a little bit on the smaller time frames like 45-minute. I think we're going to see continuation. and a break above this local high at around 1.2 cents, and we will see more upside coming for this coin. There's a lot of reasons for this. The main reason is the bigger picture cycle, right? The fact that we did retrace all the way down here, and the fact that we've started to see strength off of these lows. Those are really good signs to see the beginning of an uptrend forming after a big picture ABC like this and a complete market cycle. So be watching for more upside coming in this coin and for a lot of potential gains coming in this market. Can you please take a look at XLM? You know, let me make sure nobody else requested anything before that. No, it looks like you are the only person that did. Oh, Matt Osty, I believe is how you say your name. Matt Osty. A new all-time high for Telcoin? That's a good question. A new local high could happen like anytime soon. A new local high could happen in the next month or two. A new all-time high, it could take us like, it could take us all year. I don't know. We could be there by the end of the year. Maybe a new all-time high above our old one. But I don't think it's going to happen in the next week or two. But a new local high up above our local resistance down here, that could happen in the next like month or two. Okay, let's see here. XRP and XLM. So I did a video about XLM 2 days ago. So make sure you go watch that if you haven't seen it yet, because I go more in detail on that video that I'm going to have time to go into today. But basically for XLM, we do have a lot of things that are really bullish for this coin, especially in the bigger picture. In the short term, the very first thing you can see is a nice falling wedge here. This is like textbook. I mean, if you guys join the free Discord and you go down to knowledge and links and you click on top trading patterns, you're going to see in here, oh, whoa, I didn't mean to put that in there. That's not supposed to be in there. Get that out of there. So in the top trading patterns link in my Discord, link is in the description if you guys want to join the free Discord. Inside of here, you're going to get some of the best trading patterns and examples of them. And falling wedge is one of those patterns. And you can see here with this falling wedge pattern, this is a really, really, really good example of what a falling wedge looks like. I mean, stellar lumens here is textbook. Like, this is a perfect falling wedge. So a lot of times for crypto, when you're starting these uptrends, you're going to see bull flags, triangles, like bullish pennants, and a lot of times you'll see falling wedges as well. So you'll see a move up in the market like this, and then you'll see a falling wedge pattern, and then the market will go higher. That's a really, really common structure for crypto, to see a falling wedge pattern as it's preparing to go higher. Again, you can see all kinds of different patterns. You can see like a triangle pattern like this, where you see a triangle and then the market goes higher, market goes up and then it moves inside of a triangle and then goes higher. Or bullish flag pattern like this, where you just have a channel like that. Market goes like this and then breaks out and goes higher. There's a lot of different structures that you do see, but one of the most common structures is this falling wedge. So I think what's going to happen here for stellar lumens is continuation of this trend that we started here. So watch for more upside for stellar lumens, especially in the bigger picture. we do have a bit of a inverse head and shoulders structure potential here. We have a left shoulder here and a head right here. So we could pull back like a little bit here in the shorter time frame, like the 45-minute, before we go higher. But overall, I think we're going to go higher. So I'm not expecting a new local low below this level here. If we do pull back at all, it'll be very short-lived, just like a little pullback right here. And then we will go higher here for stellar lumens, in my opinion. Now, if we go out to the bigger time frame, like way zoomed out here, back to what I was talking about earlier at the start of this live stream with multi-year accumulation patterns, that's exactly what we see here with stellar lumens, is a multi-year accumulation pattern. And the best example of this would probably be NVIDIA, where NVIDIA went sideways for 16 years before it broke out into a bull market. When I say sideways, of course it pumped and dumped, but overall it wasn't in an uptrend, right? It wasn't just trending up and trending up and trending up. And you can see here, with stellar lumens up here on the top and with NVIDIA down here on the bottom, very similar kind of structure, right? Multi-year accumulation, having upward movement and downward movement, but not really in an established uptrend. You know, nothing that's just going up and up and up and up. Now, what I think could happen for stellar lumens in the bigger picture as we break out of this falling wedge pattern right here is the beginning of an established and sustained uptrend. So something more like what's happened over here with NVIDIA, where you really start to not only see an uptrend, but you really start to see a sustained uptrend where price continually increases and doesn't just pump and then dump and then pump and then dump, but continually increases over time, and it's more sustained. And actually the same thing is also true for XRP as well. So not only are we seeing a multi-year accumulation for stellar lumens, but we're also seeing a multi-year accumulation for XRP and for Litecoin and for a lot of coins. So that's a really good sign for the entire crypto asset class in the bigger picture, to see all of these assets doing multi-year accumulations. And we'll just pull up XRP up here on the top now, and I'll show you what I mean. XRP also did a multi-year accumulation. I mean, look at that. It's actually kind of crazy how similar these two charts look. And what could happen as a result of this accumulation is a sustained uptrend, not just a pump and then a dump like what we saw in 2017 or in 2021, but actually a sustained uptrend where the market is continually increasing in value over time. So don't expect the market just to do the same thing over and over again. Expect the market to repeat, but you have to understand context. So you're going to see repeating patterns in markets, but also the context can change, and you're going to see a new pattern repeat that can be found in other markets, but it's not just pumping and dumping over and over again. Because a lot of people kind of think, oh, well, we pumped in crypto, it's time for it to dump. That's what happened in 2017 and 2018. That's what happened in 2021 and 2022. So it's just going to happen again. Yes, markets do repeat themselves, but you have to understand the bigger picture context. And the bigger picture context for crypto as a whole is potentially mass adoption. And mass adoption means that we could just deviate from this pump and this dump that we saw in 2017 and 2018 and 2021 and 2022 and go into a sustained bull market. So a lot of people, they're going to think that it's just going to dump again, and they're going to miss out on all of the profit that comes as a result of a sustained uptrend where the market's continually increasing in value over time. This is what I personally believe is coming for crypto. A sustained uptrend where price doesn't just dump in a year after it pumped in a year, but it actually deviates from that pattern because it was only doing that pattern because it was part of a bigger accumulation. And then it starts a bull market that's sustained, and I think we've already started that bull market here. We've already started to see the early signs of that bull market. So that's my view on XRP and XLM. Be watching for a more sustained uptrend. More like what you saw with more traditional markets, like NVIDIA over here, where NVIDIA did a pump and a dump, and then a pump and a dump, and then went into a more sustained uptrend. There was a lot more profitable and a lot more lucrative than just it pumping and dumping. And that's what happens when markets or technologies get mass adopted. The demand continually increases because people are adopting the technology and actually using it. It's no longer a fad. It's no longer something people just do because it's a hobby or they think it's kind of cool. They're using it because it's being adopted for the reason it was created. And the demand continually increases as a result of that, right? So, cool. Let's talk about other coins now. Alrighty. Theta to $30. Honestly, I think it's possible for Theta to go higher than $30 in the bigger picture if we do go into a sustained bull market for crypto where demand continually increases. I think it's totally possible for Theta to see higher than $30. It's possible. So go watch my video about Theta. I actually made a lot of videos in the past couple weeks talking a little bit about my bigger picture targets for these coins and where I think they could go in the bigger time frame. So you're going to get a lot of value out of watching those videos because of the fact that I kind of go into details about how to find those bigger picture targets. I compare different markets and how much they expanded when they went into their bigger picture cycles and really were, more mass adopted by more people. So you're going to get a lot of value if you go watch my videos recently over the past couple of weeks where I talk about targets and where I think targets can go for a lot of these coins. But yeah, it's definitely possible for Theta to go even higher than $30 per coin. Let's see here. What's cracklin', my brother from another mother? Are we getting tired of almost winning soon yet? Oh my goodness. How about DAG? Yeah, let's look at DAG. Constellation. This coin looks so dang good, you guys. Like, you have no idea. This coin looks amazing. I really, really like this setup because of the fact that we do see not only bullish divergence on the histogram, but we also see the beginning of a nice market cycle reversal. So what you can see here with this coin is we do have 5 waves up, just like you want to see. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then we have an ABC correction down right here. Wave A, wave B, and wave C, just like this. And now we've started to see the early signs of a reversal. So this is called the suckers rally. And basically what happens after the suckers rally is the beginning of a new cycle. So a lot of people are in disbelief down here because that's the point of the cycle that it's in. It's in disbelief. And when you turn around off of those lows, then you really start to accelerate quickly because people go out of disbelief into a little bit of belief, right? They're having a little bit of faith. Maybe this could go up. Hey, look, it's actually bottoming out. Maybe this could go higher. So you move out of disbelief into a little bit of more of a belief phase, and that's when the market really starts to turn around. But right now we're in disbelief. So most people are going to be in disbelief, right? And a really, really cool thing you can do here, and I know I talk a lot about how what happened to crypto is a lot like what happened to the internet. That's because it's 100% true. What happened to the internet bubble back in the day in the 90s and in the early 2000s is virtually identical to what happened to crypto. And if you look right here, here is the NASDAQ Composite Index during the internet bubble, and here is Constellation. It's crazy how these cycles repeat, how people, the human emotion inside of the cycle repeats, how the psychology is so consistent. You can see this is the blow off top here for the NASDAQ, and here is the blow off top for Constellation. And then over here you have depression for the NASDAQ. And down here you have depression for Constellation. So the cycle is so similar. So similar. So what a lot of people kind of don't talk about, they only talk about the fact that the internet bubble happened. A lot of people talk about, oh, there was this thing called the internet bubble. A lot of people lost a lot of money. That's why you don't try to trade markets. You're going to lose money if you do. That's what a lot of people talk about, right? But what people fail to recognize, and what a lot of people fail to mention, is what happened after the internet bubble popped. What happened after the internet bubble popped was the biggest bull market in a long time. Like, probably in history, probably in human history. Look at this. Look at the bull market that came after the internet bubble popped. So if you shift your focus from, oh no, I don't want to lose my money, to, oh, well, people that think like that never make money because they're too afraid to take risk. If you can shift your focus to somebody that sees value in taking risk instead of fearing risk, then you can really capitalize on the movement that comes afterwards. And what I think could happen here for Constellation is a massive reversal, where we do see a big picture uptrend forming as a result of that market cycle. So that's what I see here with Constellation. And by the way, you guys, the people, like, the people that really succeed in these markets, the people that really make good money, are people that are willing to do this. They're willing to take risk. They're willing to look at the bigger time frames. They're willing to see something that's dropped in value, even if it's dropped 90% or 70%, and they're willing to capitalize on that. They're willing to buy the fear. And if you have that willingness, you can make money. Because the mistake a lot of people make is they are afraid to take risk. And when you're afraid to take risk, you don't ever take advantage of opportunity. It could be right in front of your face. You could even have a gut feeling that the markets are going to go for a big move. But if you're afraid, you miss out on all of the potential profit that you could have made. And it really is as simple as just taking risk. Not taking any risk, because that's dumb too. If you take any risk, you're going to lose a lot of money. But if you take smart risks, if you take risks that can work out in your favor because they're calculated, because you see that a lot of people are afraid and a lot of people are fearful and they aren't willing to take that risk, you can really set yourself up for a lot of money, like a lot of profit as a result of taking that risk. So it's kind of as simple as, okay, is there opportunity in this market? Is that opportunity worth the risk? If it is worth the risk, if you believe that you're going to get potentially very big gains, and you see the opportunity as being high and the risk is being, maybe there's, some significant risk, but it's not so significant that it's like a dumb choice. That's the definition of calculated risk. Yes, there is risk involved, but it's not such a big risk that it's completely stupid. And if you can find an opportunity like that, you can make a lot of money, And crypto is one of those opportunities where the risk is actually pretty, it's there, but there's a lot of potential for profit. And the risk isn't that high. We already dropped a lot. This coin is already down 91%. So the risk is way, way, way lower than it was over here when it was at 46 cents at the top. The risk is really low. But down here at 3 cents, the risk is way, way, way low. Up here it was really high. So a lot of coins have really fairly low risk, but the potential for profit is extremely high. So that's calculated risk, right? And there's a lot of it in crypto right now. A lot of really, really good opportunities where the risk is there. It's not completely absent, but the opportunity for profit is extremely high and the risk isn't that high. There's a lot of potential for crypto to become something really big. And a lot of people know that, including really, really wealthy investors. And that's why you're seeing so much institutional money come into the market, because they're seeing exactly what I'm talking about with the risk profile for crypto. And yeah, of course, the risk profile for crypto is probably higher than like buying gold or silver. It's probably a little bit higher, but it's not that much higher. It's not like 1,000 times higher. Crypto has a lot of potential, and a lot of people know that. And a lot of people are looking at that and saying, okay, I'm going to put money into this. That's why you see billions of dollars in trading volume over the past, especially the past 4 years, 4 to 6 years. Crypto has seen more trading volume than it's ever seen in the history of its entire life. And the trading volume for crypto right now is actually on par with the trading volume during the internet bubble crash, when all of the average people were running away from investing in the internet, and all of the big institutions were putting billions of dollars into the market. That is where we're at right now, where really average people are kind of running away from crypto over the past 5 years, especially after the FTX crash. But bigger institutions are actually putting billions of dollars in. And that's kind of the same thing. It's actually the exact same thing that happened after the internet bubble pop. Down here, billions of dollars came into major companies that were associated with the internet, they were associated with computing, they were associated with all of those things. Yet average retail investors and the general public were scared to invest in 2003 and 2008, which were really the best opportunities because that's where the big money were buying in. And the same thing happened with crypto in the bigger picture. So, all right, cool. Let's do some more analysis for you guys. Let's see. Thanks for covering Aptos and Ethereum. Yeah, you're welcome, man. Loading up on TFuel. Could it be a cash-producing machine? Yeah, let's talk about TFuel. There's got to be one with more data than that, isn't there? TFuel. Here we are, TFuel. There we go. Again, same kind of thing, you guys. Like, we can compare it to the internet bubble. Here's the internet bubble, right here. And here is Theta. Now, if you look at the chart and you zoom out and you look at what happened to Theta, or TFuel, my bad, in the bigger picture, it really is the exact same thing. It's just a fractal of what happened during the internet bubble. And what can happen as a result of this, now that we're undervalued, and a lot of people are going to miss out because they're afraid to buy the dip, now that we're undervalued and the big institutions are putting money in, what can happen to TFuel here is a significant increase in price over time, where we establish an uptrend and really start to recover from the correction that we saw in 2021 and 2022, that really started in 2021 and you know, kind of went sideways a little bit in 2022 and 2023. So what could happen here in the bigger picture, now that we're undervalued, and I am bullish on Theta, so I'm very confident that this will happen for TFuel as well, is a big picture uptrend established for this coin, where we're seeing the bigger picture uptrend begin and a more sustained increase as demand increases because of adoption. So that's what I'm seeing here with TFuel. Really good looking setup, really good looking chart. AVAX. Yes, I will do AVAX. In fact, I love this coin. This is a really, really, really dope project. Let's pull it up. Oops. There we go. AVAX. There we go. There's the data. So, back to the internet bubble, okay? You have no idea how many cryptos did the exact same thing that the internet bubble did. It's so crazy. Like, it really is so powerful to understand the fact that these markets are repeating human psychology that has appeared in other markets. This is a really profoundly powerful way to position yourself for profit. Just understand the nature of human psychology and the cycle of human emotion that occurs in every single market that's publicly traded since the dawn of time. And if you look here with AVAX and you look at the NASDAQ, you can see just what I'm talking about. You can see the market cycle. Here's the internet bubble, and here is AVAX. And what I think is going to happen for this coin now that we saw a bit of a correction in the smaller time frame, and when I say smaller, I mean daily, because for me, you guys, one thing I want to say, you'll notice I'm almost always in the daily or the 3-week or the monthly or the 10-day or the 2-month or the 15-day. You'll see me use these smaller time frames sometimes, like the 45-minute or the 1 hour, but for the most part, you don't see me use those time frames. For the most part, you're seeing me use these bigger picture time frames. So when I say smaller time frame, we're looking at the 3-week. So for me, a smaller time frame is like the daily, smaller in relation to what we're normally looking at on this channel. So on the daily, we did have a bit of a pullback here on the daily, and that's good. What do you think happened to the NASDAQ in 2008 right here? What recently happened for crypto is very similar to the 2008 crash. Very similar. Kind of a drop here. So back to the 3-week. As a result of that correction that happened on the smaller time frame, what I believe is going to happen is very similar to what happened in 2009 and 2010 and 2011, where the market recovered, especially as we started to break above the resistance here in 2012. When we broke above the resistance, that really took off, and then we broke above the old all-time high. So I think what we're going to see here, you guys, is another breakout up above this local resistance. But in terms of AVAX, instead of the NASDAQ, that's going to be $65 per coin. And this isn't going to happen in a day or a week. It's going to happen over time. This is why you have to learn patience, because if you don't learn patience, you're seriously just going to lose all your money in these markets, or you might get lucky sometimes, but the odds are not in your favor. The odds are in the favor of people who are patient. Those are the people that make real money. Those are the people that make millions because they're patient. And if you look here, that's kind of what I see coming for AVAX. A recovery like what happened to the NASDAQ after 2008. It recovered, and the people that were patient, they made a lot of profit from the pump that came afterwards. And I believe the same thing is coming for AVAX based on the market cycle, the volume, the ABC correction, all the stuff that's good about any market in any time frame. We see it here with AVAX. We see a lot of opportunity for profit. So that, it's only worth $22 right now. Imagine it break above the local high right here at 64. Then imagine if it breaks above 145 and does what the NASDAQ did and starts a sustained uptrend. The profit you're talking about in your portfolios, astronomical. If you're invested in XRP, you beat the instructions and you will be rich. William Harvey, I do agree XRP is going to go up in value a lot. And if people invested in it, they probably will make a lot of money as a result of that. And yeah, they probably are beating a lot of average kind of instructions where people are like, oh, be safe and don't invest in stuff where there's court cases and, So we've already started to see XRP go nuts from its local low, and it could go a lot higher from here. Even in the past year, it's getting high. Let's see, what was your other post? Life is about smart risk, to be honest. How much Theta at right now, Flanders? Even in the past year, it's getting high. Oh, you're responding. Wait, who are you responding to? I missed that whole part, Jay Kane. So I don't know exactly who you're responding to or what they asked you. So I'm going to just kind of move on here and respond to some other people's questions. Can you look at Trumpcoin? Yes, I will look at Trumpcoin for you. Good old Donald Trump coin. And we'll isolate it. We'll just look at Trump alone. And we're going to go to the daily. Look how nice it's been moving off of these lows, you guys. That looks amazing. I don't know if you guys were here way back in the day when Ethereum first got added to Poloniex, like in 2015 or something like that. But I was. And the pattern that it made was so powerful to understand, because to this day, I still go back and I look at these early day cycles on Ethereum, because it gives you a really good idea of what it looks like when markets first get added to exchanges and people give up on it and they go, oh, this thing isn't going to go anywhere. And then it does, because it really has something big in store. And Ethereum, when it first got added to Poloniex back in 2015, the very first thing that it did was it pumped a little bit and then it dumped like crazy. It just fell off a cliff. And the same exact thing happened with Trumpcoin. We have a pump here. People got really excited. And then we had a massive dump. And then what happened to Ethereum was it started to see some early signs of a reversal. Oh, look. Hey, it's starting to go up now. And then it pulled back a little bit. And then it built up more momentum. And then it started a very sustained and very big uptrend, where price continually increased with corrections along the way for quite some time. And it really blew a lot of people away. I mean, look how high this thing went before it dropped. before it came back down for a big bear market, right? So what could happen here with Trumpcoin is a similar kind of thing, where now that we're starting to see the early signs of strength, it can easily go like this and start to build a little bit of momentum here and begin a more sustained uptrend where, oh, now it's not just pumping because everybody's excited. Now it's pumping because it's actually building momentum and building more of a sustainable uptrend. So that's kind of what I'm looking here for Trump, would be something like that, looking at here for Trump. All right. We'll do one more coin and then we're going to call it a day. Let's do Toshi. Okay. Toshi is kind of a similar pattern as Trump, you know? Huge pump right at the start, big pullback, potentially the early signs of a reversal. We have an inverse head and shoulders, a left shoulder, a head, and a right shoulder. So this could be the beginning of something big here for Toshi. You know, we could start to turn around here. We have early signs of a rounded bottom as well. So if we get more of a rounded bottom, that's going to be very good here for this coin. And this is one that I like as well. There's a big community behind it. It's on base. A lot of people are trading it because of how big the community is. There's an ABC correction down here. Yeah, kind of similar again to the Ethereum chart back in the day. You know, early day Ethereum. Yeah, there's a pump at the start. People got excited, but then it dumped, and then it started to bottom out, and that was the beginning of something big for Ethereum. Could be true for Toshi as well. Same kind of setup. So again, early day accumulation, early day kind of a new coin. New coins do very similar things to other new coins in the past. And understanding that, you know, is profitable to know. So, all right, we're going to do one more coin just because, you know, I'm getting requested multiple times. And plus, you know, you guys are awesome. So, let's do XPR. What if I do like 2 more coins for you? Or maybe 3? I don't want to go all day. I haven't ate breakfast, so kind of getting hungry over here. But let's pull up XPR again. This isn't right. That's wrong. XPR. Here we go. This is the right chart. So XPR Network, I believe, is what you want. So, you know, this is actually kind of crazy. What this, you know, it's crazy to me what this looks like. So Bitcoin Cash back in the day in 2017, when Bitcoin Cash first became a thing in 2017, it actually did the same exact thing here that we see. So let's pull up Bitcoin Cash. We'll go to the daily. Yeah, very similar kind of thing here. Here on the daily candlesticks for Bitcoin Cash, you see a breakout and then a pullback and a reaccumulation, and then it went a lot higher. You can see it went a lot higher here. It went all the way up to like 4,200 per coin. So I think it's possible for XPR to see another move up. I've seen structure like this before. And we are right onto the 618 level, which is a really good buy opportunity in this area here. So yeah, I think we will go for another leg up here for XPR. That looks really good. I like that setup a lot, actually. All right. Tillray, we'll do Tillray, T-L-R-Y. I believe this is a cannabis company, if I remember right. So, woo, that one really got wrecked over time, didn't it? Let's take a look here. Wow, that is a big get wrecked. Holy cow. Dang. I don't know anything about the fundamentals of Tillray, so I can't really tell you about that. I believe this is a cannabis company, if I remember right. This could be a cannabis company. Yeah, we're really oversold here. So this thing is way down from its peak. Let's look at the RSI. Yeah, we're really oversold on the daily. Let's check the 15-day. We're oversold on the 15-day as well. Let's check the 4-day. Oversold on the 4-day. We still have consistent volume. So is Tillray still a company that is making sales? Let's see if they're still even making sales and stuff. Today, Tillray is a global company selling products to countries on 5 continents. Sells over 40 brands of medical and adult use cannabis, craft beer, wine, spirits, and wellness products. Yeah, so they're still selling to people, so it's not like completely dead, because that's something to look for. If a stock's going down a lot in value and they're not like, they don't have any customers or there isn't any demand for what they're doing, that could be a bad sign that the trend is going to continue down. But in the case of Tillray, it looks like they still have a clientele. Like they still have people that are, buying their products. So that's really important, because if people are buying their products, then they have demand for what they're doing. And if they have demand for what they're doing, with how oversold it is, it can easily turn around here soon. So, yeah, it could be good. Could be a good one. I know the cannabis industry, ever since like 2018, has been very hit hard. Like it's super undervalued right now, if you ask me, the whole cannabis industry. Since 2018, it got hit really hard. So I think there could be more. Yeah, there could be more coming for the cannabis industry in the bigger picture, as it starts to become more established and more, more sustained. Because it was kind of in a bubble back in the day in like 2017 and 2018. So maybe it comes out of the big correction that it had and starts to recover. It's definitely super undervalued. A lot of the cannabis industry stocks are very undervalued in the bigger picture, as far as I can tell. So, all right, cool. Maybe one more coin here and we'll call it a day. Let's see here. We have somebody requested for Flare coin, I think. Flare. Let's see, where was it? I saw it a second ago. Can you look at Tillray? Can you look at... I already looked at that one. Let's see, where's Flare? I thought somebody asked me if I could do Flare, but I don't see it here. So I don't know where. I don't even remember how to look for it. I think it's just Flare coin. We'll just try. Flare. FLR. Yeah, so this looks good. I think I did analysis on this recently. We do have bullish divergence here. You can see the RSI has bullish divergence right here. Really, really good sign. We also see a bit of an ABC correction structure here, very similar to what we're seeing on a lot of different coins. And we have good volume. So this could start to turn around here in the short term and start to see a reversal. And especially if we can break above this local resistance, that'll be a really big sign for more upside, because it would make a big W bottom. And those big W bottom patterns are profitable. They are way profitable and very, very, very fun to trade. So that looks good. I like this setup a lot with Flare, and I think we will see more upside. You can also see we have a bit of a falling wedge right here, which is another strong buy signal. So it looks undervalued in the 4-day time frame here. It looks really undervalued, and I think we will turn around based on that bullish divergence, that falling wedge, and especially if we break above resistance and make a W bottom, then we'll see a lot more coming for this coin. Okay, all right, we're going to call it a day. It's been a good day, had a lot of fun doing it, and I really, really enjoyed doing today's live stream. So yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate you. I love every single one of you. And I look forward to seeing you guys in future videos and future live streams. And yeah, I'll see you guys next week, and for crypto videos and for my next live stream. Make sure that you guys join the free Discord. If you're not a member of the free Discord, come in here and chat. Be aware of scammers, you guys. There's scammers in here. Unfortunately, people try to impersonate me. They create fake accounts that look like me. So if you ever get a message from anybody in my Discord that looks like me, but they're asking for you to send money to them, don't do it. Okay? Unfortunately, there are scammers in my Discord. So just stay safe. Be aware of that. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you guys in future live streams. And as always, stay profitable out there.